Welcome to another episode of the Men of Zen, an animation research podcast. My name is Brent.
And I'm Phil, and we are coming at you live from the Den of Zen at 420.69 radio station.
Radio. I need all of those like fucking buttons to just like have like stupid fart noises, like slide whistles.
You know what's funny is that I actually have on my phone for just the right occasion.
Oh my god.
I have
as a backup in case you don't have your nut button, which is across the room, so you've always got that.
I'm mad.
And he pops it out all the time. Like it don't matter. He's like, hold on what you're doing. Let me get up my phone real quick just so I can
DJ, yeah.
Oh my fucking god. He loves that thing way too much.
Okay, I'm putting it away now.
You put it away.
Phrasing.
That's a good one. Today we are talking about an amazing early 2000s adult animation series called Archer that premiered on FX on September 17th of 2009. I remember so much of this show, no matter how long it has been. It could be fucking 30 years, and I'll be like, I remember every fucking episode, at least for the first five, maybe 6 seasons.
I can agree with that. I didn't realize the show had gone on for as long as it has. I kind of watched the last. I've watched a couple of seasons that I never got around to watching, and I got thoughts. I got things I want to say about them, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah. So Archer, created by Adam Reed. The show is a satirical take on the spy movies and follows the adventures of a New York-based international secret intelligence service. They use the acronym ISIS,
Ooh.
You know, because the early 2000s were the perfect time to make fun of I don't know what the fuck
a terrorist group
like
in the Middle East.
A jihadist terrorist group, whatever you want to call that shit, from Iraq, Afghanistan, right in the middle of, you know, us being over there and the whole fucking war and shit. So
right.
ISIS was perfect, apparently. They weren't poking no bears with no sticks, none of that shit.
Oof.
Archer follows the exploits of 8 dysfunctional Secret Service agents throughout their adventures in ISIS, which is a New York-based intelligence agency. The group consists of Sterling Archer, the show's narcissistic, womanizing protagonist.
Yep.
Mallory Archer, a retired agent, now ISIS director, and Sterling's snarky, emotionally distant mother.
That's an understatement.
Yeah. There's if we just had like a just a fucking
oh god.
We just watched that a few minutes ago and I'm like, yep, yeah, that's gross. He needs therapy for that.
There's not enough alcohol or therapy in the world.
Not enough alcohol. There's no sing. Lana Kane, which is Sterling's love interest and mother of his daughter, and by far the most professional field agent at ISIS, Ray Gillette, the agency's openly gay bomb specialist. There's Pam Poovey, the head of the agency's human resources department, who is often ridiculed by her peers. Cyril Figgis, a mild-mannered accountant turned agent. We have Cheryl Tunt, Mallory's delusional, psychotic personal assistant. She's also fucking wealthy as fuck. And yep. Dr. Krieger, who is possibly one of the best mad scientists.
Oh, and possibly a clone of Hitler.
Yeah, quite possibly. Do you remember? Oh my god, one of it was the episode when he develops that anime AI.
Oh my god, the anime AI girl.
My chili blossoms. They're wilting.
Krieger has given me one of the best, in my opinion, quotes of the show, which is, "I'm sorry, are you speaking to me? Your authority is not recognized here in Fort Kickass."
We've got Woodhouse, his butler. He's just an old guy who has to basically bend to Archer's every will and whim.
Archer treats him so badly.
Constantly.
Like, there's literally, in the first episode, I believe, he says, like, "Hey, you better clean all the dog hair out of my apartment, or when I get back, I'm gonna rub sand in your dirty dead eyes.
And I don't know if they grade sand.
Oh yeah, he tells him to go buy sand.
Yeah,
He's like, I need you to buy sand.
He's like, if they grade it, I need coarse. Coarse sand. Oh my fucking god. But like, even then, the whole reason for it was because Archer brought home some blonde chick that he was banging and wakes up in the morning with her. And then suddenly, after he's no longer drunk, he realizes that there's a dog inside.
Yep.
And he's like, what the fuck is this dog doing here? And he's like, Woodhouse, I told you not to let any dogs in here. And he goes, you were very insistent on letting the dog come in because the dog could... he was claiming that the dog could bark out the fucking music for putting on the Ritz.
Yes! That's what it was.
He's like, forget about what I said. Forget about the rules. This dog is kick-ass. Listen to this. And he like barks a whole bunch. He's like, you hear that? That's putting on the Ritz. And he thought it was so fucking cool. So he told Woodhouse to just disregard his own rule. And now he wakes up in the morning and he's like, you know how I can be when I'm drunk. You can't
I'm not to be trusted.
I'm not to be trusted. This show has some amazing characters. They're all long running. There's constant repeat gags and jokes. They'll pick one thing at the beginning of the show and then throughout the entire show just constantly bring it back up in ways that just somehow is still funny, like the second, third, and fourth time it happens.
You wouldn't think that it'd be funny after like multiple seasons of them doing it, but no. It's still good.
It's still good. It's fucking amazing.
The show also features a various amount of supporting characters, many of whom received expanded roles in subsequent episodes. These include Slater, an arms dealer and CIA agent, Katya Kazanova, the former love interest of Sterling and head of the KGB, and Barry Dillon, the nemesis of Sterling, who is later redeemed and becomes his friend, who is also a cyborg.
Archer's always like shooting weapons for some reason inside the agency, and every single time he shoots his gun, no matter how far away he is or where he is at, his bullet will ricochet off of like 30 objects, and you'll just hear some guy go, "Ah! Damn it, Archer!"
I love that. Oh man, and fucking Conway Stern, the guy who was hired on as their oh my god, this is gonna sound awful. He needed to fill a quota within the agency because so many of their agents who had met those quotas, like Asian, Mexican, and like Middle Eastern agents, all died because Archer blew their covers calling them.
Oh my god.
And like, you know, trying to have them be his wingman. So the Conway Stern, being a black Jewish man, he was the quote unquote. Mallory Archer refers quote unquote a double whammy when it comes to medium requirements.
Yep.
And he is hilarious. He and Archer have a great interaction in the locker rooms. Let me say a quote that Archer told Pam in Human Resources. He touched my penis with his penis. She's like, wow. Where? Like all of it. Head and shaft. No, not where on the body. I mean, where in the building? Oh, in the locker rooms. He just came up to me and was like, "What?" Just rest a little bit. I was watching the reboot of James Bond with Judi Dench as M, Reed said in 2011, and for whatever reason, I thought, what if she was his mom? And that's when Mal kind of clicked, and then I thought it'd be great if his ex-girlfriend worked there and was actually better at her job than he was.
Yes.
FX actually had a list of a lot of dramatic actors who look like Archer. And we kept saying, John Benjamin, trust us, it's going to be great. Reed has had his protagonist animated in a suit and sent FX a video of the suited Archer talking to kids about showing them a dead body, using audio from H. John Benjamin as Coach John McGurk in home movies. Goated. Yep. Love that guy. The network loved it.
As they should. I mean, it's H. John Benjamin. I don't know. How could they not?
The man has a very recognizable voice. As soon as you hear it, you're like, I know that guy. Man. Reed agreed to voice Dr. Krieger himself, believing he was going to be a one-off character and that casting a professional would have been a waste of money. Cheryl Tunt was also meant to be a short-lived character until Judy Greer, very great actress, was cast in the role. Yeah, it was going to be a running gag that Archer kept impregnating Mallory's secretaries, Reed said of Cheryl's originally intended fate. Whenever it happened, they would he would gas them with sleeping gas and just leave them on the steps of the Bellevue Hospital with no idea or memory of what happened. But when Judy agreed to do the show became a much more important character. And oh, she did.
Yes. Oh, she did.
She is the definition of insanity.
Yeah, no, 100%. A little bit about Adam Brooks Reed. There wasn't a ton of information about him, which is interesting.
I was going to say, is he a Japanese mangaka?
No, right? That's what I said. I'm like, how in the fuck is there like nothing on this guy? But I mean, I dug up a little bit. It was mostly just Wikipedia shit. But he was born on January 8th, 1970. Adam Reed, an American voice actor, animator, screenwriter, television producer, and television director. Can see all that fucking shit. There's like fucking nothing on this guy. He created, writes, and voice acts the effects and adult animated series Archer, which premiered in September 2009. He also voice acted, wrote, directed, and produced the television series C-Lab 2021, which fucking amazing show.
Oh my god, yes!
I love that show. And also Frisky Dingo. I can't say I love that one as much.
Not as much, yeah.
No. He also did these with his co-creator and creative partner, Matt Thompson. Reed graduated from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill in 1992 with a degree in English. Reed and longtime collaborator Matt Thompson started out at Cartoon Network doing various odd jobs as production assistants until they came up with their own show, High Noon Tunes, in 1994. High Noon Tunes was a 3-hour programming block of cartoons hosted by cowboy hand puppets. Thompson and Reed were frequently drunk during filming. Fair.
I get it.
Fair. Once in 1995, the duo was reprimanded for lighting one of the prop sets on fire. Just a couple of fucking pyromaniac kids, but they were adults.
God.
After leaving Cartoon Network in 1996 over disagreements while working on a morning cartoon show hosted by Carrot Top. Anybody remember that guy? Is he even still relevant anymore?
I didn't even know he was still alive.
I saw, so I mean, I know he's at least somewhat relevant. I saw a video of him. He looks worse than ever. I don't know how the fuck he just continues to look bad.
Oh, man.
But he was like eating macaroni and cheese out of like just like one of the microwave macaroni and cheese things out of a cup sitting in his car. I was like, for a guy who's famous, he really looks and lives like he's poor.
He might be poor.
He might be. I don't know.
He might, no, sorry, not be poor. He might just be like average now. He might be middle class.
Right?
If such a thing exists anymore.
Like he got really famous, but I don't know if he ever got famous in a way that it made him a bunch of money. So
that's a good question.
I'm not sure how that works. So Reed and Thompson moved to New York, where they would spend a year working for the sordid underbelly of daytime talk shows. Where that sounds like they just kind of ended up being a little mundane for a while.
Yeah, everyone has a little mundane phase right before they hit their stride.
I guess, yeah.
Get it?
Yeah.
I've been there.
Sure.
I would say parts of my life were very mundane, but now look at me. I'm the host of a fairly successful podcast show.
Fairly successful.
I'm fairly successful. Hey, you know what? We will be better.
Define success.
We have listeners.
We have listeners. Thank you. Thank you, all of you, for listening and being those listeners. We appreciate you.
We really do appreciate you. Did you know we also have a Patreon?
We do.
Yeah.
We have a Patreon. You could go check it out. Patreon.com/the Men of Zen. We have a few episodes on there.
Yeah, that we did not post on here. We got stuff on Fooly Cooley. We got stuff on Golden Boy.
Oh, man. I almost couldn't remember those. Detroit Metal City was a really fun one that we did an episode on. I like that one.
We did a big movie. Oh, my God. It was like
a Silent Voice.
Silent Voice, yeah.
We did that one. There's a handful of episodes on there that were pretty good.
Yeah, you should check those out,
Yeah, go do it. Help support us, help you, and we would love to continue doing some more Patreon stuff.
Exactly.
But at the same time, what would be great is even if for free, you tell 2 friends and then tell those 2 friends to tell 2 friends about our show and come check us out. Help us grow this audience. We are actively looking for ways to grow this podcast, and I think that would just be phenomenal if we could turn this into our job.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Like those guys that are at every show, they're like, I remember these guys when they were local. I was supported them when they were small time. You could be that guy.
We're local right now.
Yeah. Yeah, the goal is to eventually, get a guest spot at a con or something.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Like,
live shows at a con would be cool.
Right. We don't know what we do, but we do something. We'd have fun.
We do stuff.
Yeah.
We'll
fun
figure
guys.
it out. We'll play board games.
We'll play Cards Against Humanity. Oh, man. Let's talk about the production. of Archer. I know everyone loves production. Before the creation of Archer, Adam Reed worked on animated comedies with executive producer and longtime collaborator Matt Thompson. The pair later became renowned for their work on a number of Adult Swim television shows, chiefly C-Lab 2021, which we talked about. Great stuff. Don't give a damn about Frisky Dingo. I'll admit I didn't watch too much of it. After the cancellation of Frisky Dingo in 2008, not surprised, Reed took a vacation to Spain to brainstorm ideas for a new project. His experience traversing the Via de la Plata and people watching in Plaza Mayor in nearby Salamanca.
Yeah,
Salamance.
Salamance, go!
Enabled him to conceptualize his vision of Archer. Reed recalled in an interview, "So I sat on the Plaza Mayor for 3 days, drinking either coffee or beer or gin, depending on the time of day, surrounded by these Spanish women who seemed both unaware and completely aware of their beauty. Occasionally, they would glance over and catch me gaping at them, and just smile at me like, I know, right? And for 3 days, I couldn't even splutter Buenos Dias to any of them, not once. And thus was Sterling Archer born. He would have absolutely sauntered over to a table full of those women and sat down and ordered an entire case of cava or whatever. Nevertheless, he believed developing a sitcom with the theme of global espionage was inevitable, given his adventure-driven comedy. The James Bond franchise, OSS 117, Cairo, Nest of Spies, and the Pink Panther franchise was Reed's inspiration as the series, then under the working title Duchess, began taking definite form. By August 18th, my birthday, 2009, following Reed's pitch to FX, the network commissioned 6 episodes for Archer. FX initially commissioned the project as a companion series for their spiritual comedy It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but the network ultimately delayed Archer's premiere to the following January because of the demanding production schedule, and the League became Philadelphia's companion show instead. Despite this, the pilot, Mole Hunt, aired as a test screening on September 17th, 2009, following the Season 5 premiere in Philadelphia. The pilot was not featured in program listings or otherwise promoted by FX. Rather, the network merely informed select television critics of the broadcast. That is interesting, because if not a lot of people watched it, they might have been like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Like, let's not even give this show a chance. And it just seems like nowadays TV shows are so... They're held to such high regards that if a show doesn't do absolute gangbusters, and I know I use the term gangbusters, but that's just a phrase.
Gangbangers. If the show isn't absolutely gangbanging.
Phrasing. And yeah, like if they don't do that amazing, like they don't break the internet, the show gets canceled after 1 season. Yep. Did you know, to a point, most people nowadays will not watch any new shows, regardless if it's on Netflix or any other streaming services, unless they know for a fact the show has completely been done, like the entire season is done, and it's been cleared for a second season. Because most people do not want to start a show and get invested with these characters and then find out that, oh, sorry, there's not going to be a second season. And then they just feel like, why the fuck did they waste their time watching the show? But yeah, like when you think about it, I watched a show recently, Blockbuster, on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
That one, they have like some great actors on there, and it did not get renewed for season 2, and the show left off on a very big cliffhanger. So I'm like, cool. So I don't get a resolution to the story, and I just wasted my time watching the show. But networks don't give a shit about that. They're looking at it as like, oh, this show didn't get a lot of viewers, so we're not getting a season 2. It's like, no, you fucks. People don't really have the time to watch like each episode every week. Like, they like binge watching. We're a generation of binge watchers.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So it's... sorry, I went on a little bit of a tangent there.
No,
My apologies.
That's a good tangent, though. That totally makes sense, because in the early 2000s, it was a little bit more risk-free, where it just seemed like there was wacky, satirical, dark comedy after wacky, satirical, dark comedy coming out left and right, and that was what was, like, cool. It was like, if it was funny, then it was something that, like, everybody wanted, and that was really it. Like, it was, everything was just riddled with comedy, and it really was. It was a different time. Like, things were a little bit more controversial. People talked with a little bit more freedom. There wasn't nearly as much like PC culture,
Right.
and it was just a different time in the U.S. It was wildly different. So you had all these different shows coming out, and I feel like Archer just fit in so well with so many of these different shows. Like the Venture Brothers was another one that like I watched like in tandem with Archer. Was like, it was like those two shows when I worked at GameStop, and we had our manager Jesse. Like, me and Jesse would talk about Venture Brothers or Archer constantly, and that was about it. He brought in his laptop and watched either Archer reruns or Venture Brothers.
Didn't we have like a bunch of saved? Because fun fact, me and Brent worked at GameStop together. That's how we met.
Yep.
And didn't we have a bunch of Archer and a bunch of like Adult Swim shows saved on like a hard drive back there on that computer?
Yeah, they were all on Jesse's computer. Yep.
That was great.
That was exactly how we watched it. It was all on his laptop back there, and that's what we would do on our breaks.
FX moved Archer to FXX, double X.
Ooh, one
broadcast.
more X away.
Right? To FXX broadcast lineup in 2017 as part of an aggressive strategy to increase the network's output of animated programming. FX had planned the move before the show's 7th season, in conjunction with the debut of Cassius and Clay, but momentarily dropped their endeavor after Clay's abrupt cancellation. FXX, that's so hard to say fast, renewed Archer for a 12th season, which premiered on August 25th, 7 days from my birthday, on August 25th, 2021.
You dropping some hints here?
Yeah, just let people
if
know.
If anyone wants to get him something, just let me know. We'll give you the address.
I don't ask for much, but envelopes of money would be great.
Yeah, just pile it in there, cash.
Or gift cards to, to Red Lobster.
We live in the Midwest, so like Olive Garden would be fine. That's like the fanciest thing we have, which is sad to say. Olive Garden.
Hey, I was going to say like Biaggi's or Red Lobster even.
Now Biaggi's is one of those restaurants that I feel like they think they're really fancy, and then you get in there and you're like, wow, this food is mediocre at best. But it was really expensive.
So so expensive.
So does that make it fancy? Or
I went there with my girlfriend a couple weeks back only because we got a gift card, and that paid for our entire dinner.
Yeah.
It was $75 gift card. Yeah. It was insane. FXX renewed the series for a 13th season, which premiered on August 22nd, 6 days from my birthday. The 14th and final season of Archer was scheduled on August 30th, 12 days. On August 30th, 2023. Yes, the 14th and final season is coming out later this year, and that is insane to me because, like I said, 14 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Not many shows can get even to 10 seasons, and let alone, like, you know, in like all the crazy stuff that's going on with like the last couple years, this show survived.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. But I will admit, I watched seasons 7, 8, and 9. 9 was the best out of those 3.
Mm-hmm.
Seasons 7 and 8, I watched a couple episodes each and skipped.
Yep.
Because, funny fact, they started doing in season 7 very weird, like secluded seasons, like original stories, putting the same group of characters in a different type of environment, which I won't explain why, but it's essentially, hey, you want to know what the Archer gang would have been like back in the 1940s?
Yep.
Like, here we go, throw them in there. You want to know what they'd be like in the Congo, you know, in the jungle? Here we go. You want really one strange. Where they're in space in the future? There you go. Like, the space one I actually liked. That was pretty neat, but I haven't watched anything past season 9.
Yeah, I didn't even make it that far. Yeah, I do know that I bring that up here a little bit, and we will get to that right after we do a quick break here to listen to our sponsor in an ad or two, and we will be right back.
Stay tuned.
What's up, gamers? Birds and Swords here. I'm Micah.
And I'm Alyssa. As part of the Barn Media Group, we bring you anything and everything from the world of video games.
Are we experts?
No.
But do we play a lot of video games?
Hell yeah, we do.
So come check out our gaming podcast, Birds and Swords, for insight, opinions, top lists, and all the fun that comes with talking about games.
Come laugh with us. Or at us.
So bring your bird and your sword
because it's Birds and Swords.
Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 25,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you can talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's convenient for you. If your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at a more affordable price. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/thebarn. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/thebarn.
Thank you again to BetterHelp.com for sponsoring this episode. We super appreciate it.
You
It's
guys are the
absolutely
best.
something that if you've got anything that you do need to talk to somebody about, please don't hesitate. It's a really big deal right now. It's plastered all over that you always see somebody doing something stupid and then that person is no longer with us. So even if it's not like that serious, it could be something that you just want to get some release and find someone to talk to.
Yeah.
BetterHelp.com, man. Do it. BetterHelp.com/thebarn. Save yourself 10% off that first month. Now, like we were talking about before the break, we were talking about how around season 6, season 7, Archer started to do some really weird shit. And we will get into that. Believe you me, this is part of that. But the script writing for an episode consumes about 3 weeks of the production schedule, which is actually a pretty good turnaround for a lot of animated series. The animation in this is not super high end. It does not like it's really well polished,
Right.
but the animation is incredibly basic. Like especially if like even if it's just a character walking, you can almost tell it just looks like all they're doing is shrinking the character. They're not making him look like he's walking a distance. He's just slowly shrinking into the background a little bit.
The art style in the show is incredibly unique. I can't think of a lot of shows that do something quite like this, at least not that off the top of my head. It is very reminiscent of those early like Adult Swim shows, like Sea Lab.
Like Sea Lab.
But a more, oh my god, what's the word?
Almost like a Hanna-Barbera cartoon, but just really high res.
Right. You know what immediately what word comes to mind when I look at the art style of the show? Like someone who took a comic book panel and like animated it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like thick dark lines for outlines of the characters.
Yep.
The show's very bright and it's oddly bright but also dark. It's just it's very
well, like the colors are very
it pops
vivid.
out. The show pops.
Yeah.
And I really do like the art style for
it's not bad looking, but yeah, it does take like if you're gonna sit there and try to analyze and be anal about the show's like phrasing about how this show like comes off in terms of its high production value, you're not gonna really get that for the animation. But it gets the point across, which in a lot of ways also lends to a lot of the humor, I think, itself, where if they had like really high polished, like hyper realistic visuals for these characters, I don't think it would work as well. It's kind of interesting that it works so well because it lets you know, yes, this is just a cartoon. As the comedy's main writer, Reed typically creates the first draft during pre-production, which he submits to his team of producers and art directors. From there, they analyze the script for each character, cast, guest stars, and create basic concept designs before Reed develops a final script to submit to FXX. The extent of Reed's oversight diminished when FXX explained Thompson and executive producer Casey Willis creative responsibilities for the new episodes. Starting in season 11, Reed no longer writes the episodes. A typical Archer episode goes through 2 pages of dialogue per minute, doubling a typical sitcom.
Good Lord.
Right? Early Archer episodes are framed with the standard setup of a workplace comedy, defined by raunchy, reference-heavy humor, rapid-fire dialogue, and interaction-based drama. They parody spy film and routinely mock cliches of the genre. By the end of the 4th season, however, Reed questioned the longevity of the comedy's spy premise and began contemplating a new direction for Archer. Impelled by the then growing associations of ISIS with the identically initialed jihadist group. Reed said, "Once we started making them, and having a good time making them, we thought, what are some other things that we can do now that the boundaries have sort of been passed?" Like, I think that is a really big question. And he was thinking, about the future of the show, but I really don't know if he needed to, is the thing.
Yeah, because season 5 was basically where they completely switched up the identity of the show, the location of the show. They no longer were in New York. They were in Los Angeles.
Yeah, was that Vice?
Oh, wait.
Or
Maybe,
was that season 7?
No, I think you're right. Okay, so I think, no, number 5 was Vice.
5 was Vice?
Vice was where they are no longer agents. They are drug dealers.
They were drug dealers in the cartel.
But also trying to make it as a country music star. Which is, yeah, you're not crazy. That is what I said. Season 6 was when they became private investigators.
Yeah.
And then season 7, okay, now I remember, season 7 was the 1940s. Then season 8 was the jungle season, and then season 10 was the space. Now I remember what it is. Okay.
Yeah, and there was just something about that when they switched and did Vice that I just went, oh, like, this isn't funny anymore, because the setting changed from, like, the story that I had been, like, that had been built up over those many seasons of one continuous
right
location of them doing, like, a specific job. Like, my expectations totally changed to, oh, no, I have no idea, like, where it is that they're going or what it is they're doing. It almost felt like it was supposed to be a dream, and I'm pretty sure some of that ends up being that, like, because there's quite a few episodes, or maybe even like a season, where it's not even focused on Archer at all.
Right. See, I think Vice was okay. Like, I did laugh. There were some funny moments. I mean, Burt Reynolds, appeared on the show. Like, that was pretty neat.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think that it was a huge deviation from that. And I believe later down the line, they did return to doing what they had been doing. But the fact that it took multiple seasons of, like, new stories
mm-hmm.
for them to get back to the original setting of the show, yeah, I can kind of see why a lot of people, like, kind of dropped off watching the show. I don't, by any means, do not take what I'm saying as I'm saying the show is bad. I do not believe the show is bad after that. It's just, it's different.
Right. It was just weird because, like we mentioned earlier, that, like, the show draws a lot of its humor from repetitive comedy sketches or bits that come up even again in, like, a later episode.
Yeah.
That just references another previous episode.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't really do that a whole lot anymore. They didn't have any of those bits. They didn't really have any references that, like, now it was just like if a character returned, they were like an entirely different thing to them.
Right.
They were entirely unrelated to previous times, which I think was weird, and I felt like that hurt the show a little bit to me. So there were many cultural references on Archer that cover a wide spectrum of society and the human condition in film, literature, and music, for example. Some chiefly references to literature are obscure, and audience may not notice them in a single viewing. Reed cites his time as a university English major as the primary forebearer for the show's literary references. Archer also develops a unique self-referentially through character-based jokes, catchphrases, and running gags that evolve over multiple seasons, which they lost that ability to do that.
Mm-hmm.
For example, Sterling or another character may yell phrasing in response to any sexually suggestive remark.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was amazing. They did that through the whole, like, thing. Once they started it, you could use that whenever.
Yeah, and it was so funny how they would slip it in just a little bit. Like, so it's like, I've swallowed just about enough of you. Phrasing. And they would just, there wouldn't even be time to, like, laugh, really. Like, it would just keep going. The dialogue would keep going. Mm-hmm. Like, the writing was so good. I started rewatching just, like, at first I had started watching the seasons that I hadn't watched, and preparation for this episode. Then after that, I went back to the first season just to watch it, and I was laughing my ass off in the first couple seasons.
They're so good.
And I realized I wasn't laughing like that in the later seasons.
Yeah, there was something off about it, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. But looking back on it now, I think that is really because they changed those locations and times, and I feel like that hurt it ultimately.
Especially if he's not been one writing it anymore after starting in season 11. I guess he was still writing it at that point, but he wanted to do something different with the show, which I get. Totally fine. It's his show to do, but it's like...
I don't think he needed to.
Yeah, the show was good.
I think it was fine.
Yeah. The Office lasted for as long as it did.
Yeah, right? Holy shit. And that's one of, like, the all-time American greats over here. Neil Genslinger of the New York Times argues that Archer uses a caustic brand of humor that isn't for everybody, but that has brought the show a dedicated fan base. Dedicated for the first few seasons, anyway.
Yeah,
for me.
I'd say so.
For me. The network was against Archer throwing a baby to disarm an assassin.
Sounds like something he'd do.
He does some shit. FX was also against Anika Schlotz being a 14-year-old in the season 2 premiere, Swiss Miss.
Oh, yep. The girl was originally 14 because I did a bunch of Wikipedia research and found out that the age of consent in Germany is 14, Reed told the AV Club. They said they didn't care where it was the age of consent. It wasn't the age of consent on FX.
Yep. So they're totally not afraid to try to do some insanely controversial stuff. And most of the time, I think it worked.
Yeah.
Sometimes FX thought they pushed it a little too far.
A little bit. Thinking back on season 1, and there's so much shit in season 1. Can I remember something off the top of my head? No, but I can look back at season 1 in my mind and be like, oh.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I thought it was good. Again, that was just different time, man.
And they
Different
gave us
time.
the best ringtone out of any show. In fact, I think you even had that ringtone
I did.
for a little
I did.
while.
That was on my phone.
Yeah, how'd that song go again, Brett?
Mulatto Butts.
Mulatto Butts.
Mulatto butts, mulatto butts, mulatto butts, mulatto butts. Black ass mama, white ass daddy. Black ass mama, white ass daddy.
That was Archer's. That was Archer's ringtone for years, and running gag on the show was that he'd always leave his phone on during missions. So like they'd be in super secret stealth missions, all of a sudden you hear his phone go off. Mulatto butts. And it like there's one scene where he's trying to like stealthily like with Lana try to like get through this laser field, and his phone goes off, and she's like, "Why is your phone on during a mission?" He's like, because I have a social life, duh. And he answers his phone, and his mom is the one calling, and she's like, "Why is your phone on during a mission?" Reed had trouble figuring out how to make his lead someone the audience could root for if he was smart, handsome, rich playboy who could also beat you up. So he wanted to lose the smart.
He did a pretty good job. Well, in some ways, because in some ways Archer is ridiculously smart, but in a way that makes everybody else around him expendable or stupid. To Archer.
I feel like he's the kind of guy that he's very smart about like
his capabilities.
About his capabilities, and he's a great shooter. Yeah, he's a great shooter. He's great with the gun. He's good with hand-to-hand combat. He is someone that, yeah, like you would think he's like the great like secret agent. He's regarded as the world's greatest secret agent from a lot of different characters have said. But then, yeah, you listen to this man talk for a minute, and you're like, oh no,
you're gonna start losing brain cells.
Yep. He's an alcoholic too. Like,
oh yeah, big time.
If you take a drink every time you see Archer take a drink of some alcoholic beverage, you'd be dead by the end of the episode.
Yeah.
But FX thought the bumbling spy thing had already been done too many times. So I kept having him do stupid stuff, he told the Writers Guild of America, West, and we kept butting heads on it all through the first season until my argument that I finally hit upon for FX. He's not stupid. He's just supremely confident and thinks that nothing bad is ever going to happen to him. So in these dangerous situations where he's being an idiot, he's just being willfully obtuse to see what will happen. That sort of opened up some doors. Also, his mom is such a wreck, and his sad childhood is appealing. That helps. Oh my god, his childhood was so bad. Despite the show's humor and lighthearted tone, it's not afraid to tackle the darker subject matter. Throughout its 11 seasons, Archer has dealt with his issues such as PTSD, substance abuse, and gender identity. The show is also notable for its progressive portrayal of LGBTQ plus characters, including a transgender character voiced by transgender actress Laverne Cox. One of the show's defining moments came in season 5 when Archer underwent a major shift in format. The season, titled Archer Vice, saw the characters leave the spiral behind and become drug dealers in order to save their agency. The departure from the show's usual formula was risky, but ultimately paid off, introducing new storylines and illustrating the range of the show's creative team. Like we said, I thought season 5 was funny. It was not as good as seasons 1 through 4, but I thought it was so funny.
We never mentioned that the agency itself, the way to get into the agency, it's like front or secret headquarters is through like a really shitty laundromat.
Yeah.
And like just a couple washers and dryers just like lift like up above, and then the two below sink into the floor and just like open up, and you get into an elevator that takes you somewhere. I always thought that was kind of ridiculous. I thought it was hilarious. On the meantime, Archer legitimately just used the laundromat to pick up his dry cleaning on the way to work all the time. So convenient. Fucking hilarious. So we don't have a whole lot left here, but I did find a few fun facts about the show that I thought were great. Is that Ron Cadillac, who's a character that we didn't get to. He's a pretty he plays kind of a minor-ish role. He comes around every now and then.
But he plays Mallory Archer's husband,
Yes.
who she marries later on.
Yeah, nope. They are married in real life. Ron Liebman and Jessica Walter have been married since 1983.
Aw.
Liebman was cast on the show because of his work on Kaz, 1978 to 1979, a series Liebman created, co-wrote, and starred in. He won the Emmy for lead actor in a drama for his troubles on this. On the short-lived CBS series, Liebman plays Martin Kaczynski, a car thief turned criminal lawyer. I thought that was pretty cool.
That is pretty neat.
There is an episode that features Burt Reynolds.
Yep, we mentioned that earlier.
Hilarious. I
Yes.
love that one. Burt Reynolds thought he could have done more with this episode. End quote, "I personally thought I was a little too dull," Reynolds told GQ after he provided his iconic voice of the episode, The Man from Jupiter, where he played himself / Archer's idol / Mallory's boyfriend.
Yep, Archer found out that his mom was going on a date with Burt Reynolds.
Archer immediately takes to him, he's like, "Oh my god, can I start calling you dad now?" Don't quote me on that line, but man, he was excited for once. He's like, "Yes, this is gonna be awesome." Maybe they should have gotten me after I had had a few drinks. I think I could have gotten better at it. I just didn't give the character enough color. I tried to be honest, but I think that wasn't enough. In retrospect, Reynolds said he'd be game to make another appearance in the series.
Give this man another appearance.
Another one that really comes up a lot whenever there's a grenade or an explosion, people talk about tinnitus all the time and how his ears will be ringing or something. The American Tinnitus Association is actually pleased with the show. So
That's
Matt
awesome.
Thompson, the show's executive producer, and the Archer staff were contacted by the American Tinnitus Association that they were pleased after having talked about the affliction. The show has donated merchandise for ATA charity auctions. That's amazing. I think that's so cool that it's so random too. What the fuck, man? It was just meant to be a joke, and it is a joke.
It is a running joke.
But it's a real thing, and because they jokingly make it seem serious in the show, the real thing is no, that's seriously
it's a real thing. Explosions nearby or shooting off guns all the time without proper ear protection. Yeah. It's just really funny. Every time their hearing goes out, you just hear them go mop,
mop,
mop, and they're trying to clean out their ears. So good. And did you know that Archer was married to Linda Belcher? You heard that right. If you've ever watched,
great.
Yeah, if you've ever watched Bob's Burgers, you would know the main character who voices Archer, H. John Benjamin. He voices Bob in Bob's Burgers, another show on Fox. Basically, at the start of season 4, Archer kind of disappears and he finds himself married to Linda Belcher. They basically brought in the character of Linda Belcher from Bob's Burgers, as well as the kids, Tina, Jean, and Luis, into the show, changed up their art style to be in the art style of Archer. And it was real funny because now he is the owner of a burger shop, just like he is in Bob's Burgers. It's just really, really funny because it's the same voice actor. All they did was give him a mustache, and now he's the stepfather to 3 kids. He goes by the name Bob, of course, and it's only when the KGB agents come to the restaurant that Archer's true past is revealed. He kills the agent to the surprise of Linda and the kids.
It's almost more of a tribute to just H. John Benjamin rather than Bob's Burgers, just
right,
because he ties those two things together.
I don't remember if there was any type of if there was a more like Easter eggs to all his different voices. Like hell, if there was a Coach McGurk cameo in that episode, that would have been amazing,
dude.
Like you just imagine like some guys like, hey, get out of my way. You get out of my way.
Archer had another like undercover life working as Coach McGurk. He was just supposed to be a fucking football. It was football, right? No,
soccer.
It was soccer. Yeah, he was just like a soccer coach out there coaching kids, and then KGB agents like raid the field or whatever, and he just starts mowing down agents.
You had an opportunity.
Man, that would have been so good.
Like, I just imagine him like, hey, listen to me, Brendan.
Hey, Brendan,
listen to me.
Hey, Brendan.
Life is meaningless. That's a quote. You can quote me by, Brendan.
Yep, you could quote him on that quotable. Absolutely. Well, shit, we are coming up pretty close to time here. I don't think I have a whole lot. That might be our whole show on Archer. Do you have anything you want to add to the end of this before we sign off here?
You know, another moment that I remember that I've used throughout my adult life is another quote. You know, those awkward situations where you're put into like this situation where like you really don't want to be here and you can't think of a way to get out of the situation. So what would you love to do? Just throw a smoke bomb, obviously, and like dip out. So one of my favorite running gags of the show, at least in the earlier seasons, was when a character would be put into an awkward situation, he'd be like, smoke bomb, and they just run. He didn't drop a smoke bomb, he just said smoke bomb and then runs away.
That's good as fuck.
Oh,
man.
man.
Forever be where Frylock gets his own apartment and he moves out and he's having a party and he tries to invite a bunch of people over, and it turns out that like nobody wants to show up, so he starts making some phone calls. And he calls like one of the neighbors in his new apartment complex, and he's like,
"Oh God!"
He's like, "Hey man," or no, he checks his voicemail. He gets a call from someone who he invited, and he's like, "Hey, sorry, I can't make it to the party tonight, guy. I have to go get my foot removed. Anyway, I'll talk to you later, buddy," and just hangs up. I'm like, hell yeah, get your foot removed. That's the greatest way out of anything.
I like it. I like it, Picasso.
Picasso.
I mean, this show is phenomenal. Like I said, we did not enjoy it past a certain season, but who knows? You might love it, and we definitely recommend giving this show a chance.
Archer is currently sitting at a 4.8 on Google reviews right now, as it so rightly deserves. I feel like, again, for earlier seasons, but I don't know. I'll leave that to you to decide. Yeah, definitely leave us a comment. We're on all of the social media shit: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All that business.
And your boy is in charge of that. So if you want to talk to me personally, drop us a comment, drop us a like, tell us how much you hate our opinions.
Thank you so much for listening. I want to thank Schminkadelic for the use of our intro and outro. You can catch more of his music on Spotify and Apple Music if you want that delicious dance and trance that is it's the milk to my cereal.
The reason for the season.
And the cereal never gets soggy. Somehow, the when I listen to it, it stays crunchy.
How is that possible?
No matter what kind of cereal you have, his music will never make your cereal soggy.
I like that.
It's pretty nice, right? He's a good dude. Again, thank you to BetterHelp.com for sponsoring this episode. Catch any of that stuff that you need at betterhelp.com/thebarn for 10% off your first month. So don't wait, go do it, hook yourself up, save yourself some money, and lastly, I guess just thank the barn for being awesome. And here we are. We hope to continue with you guys on this journey. So thanks again, everybody, for listening. Once again, this has been the Men of Zen. My name is Brent.
And I'm Phil. And once again, we are coming at you live from the Den of Zen at 420.69 radio.
Radio.
Only with the hits. The hits that don't miss. I just realized hit and shit don't really rhyme, so that was why I changed my rhyme scheme.
Don't get hit by that shit.
Speak more shit than a mouthful of poop.
Oh man, so you would have rhymed with the dit.
Damn it! We love you guys.
For more media entertainment podcasts like the one you just heard, check out The Barn. Anime, music, sports, and video games, The Barn has everything that you need.